Continuing on the Art of EDM, what we're going to learn today is a little bit of handwork. And if you remember on our print, our drawing for these electrodes, on this particular electrode here, we've got a 16th radius at the bottom, and then it says break all sharp corners on this feature. Okay, so here's the way we would do that. First of all, as I said before at our previous video over at Dieter's, you need to take a decent file, I didn't have one that day, and break the top edges of your electrode just to ensure that it slides into your holder correctly, because if you're using those slotted holders, there's no guarantee that there's a dead sharp corner at the bottom of the slot. So this will make sure all your electrodes definitely slide in and contact the bottom of the slot. Okay, so that's very important to just take a second, if you're using the holders like I've shown you in my videos, just to take a file and break that edge. Okay, now back to our 16th radius. Alright, unless the customer really wants that .062 plus or minus 5 or something like that, we're just going to bench those on. And just take a radius gauge and make sure you're somewhere close. Okay, now I've been doing this for a long time, so let's see if I can get that into focus. Okay, even though I haven't done it in years, I can kind of see a 16th radius here. So that's what you would do, is you break that on all your electrodes, both these corners. This is, I can assure you, a lot faster than setting up a wheel dresser and forming this radius into a wheel, then setting each one of these electrodes up, picking up on it, and grinding on. Now, the only time that would change, of course, is if I had a couple of hundred of these to do, then it would be worth the time to set that up. Okay, but this is a very what would I call it, a practice that you would see very common, especially in the mold making industry, just to catch a radius. Now the final thing that we want to do here, and I said catch a radius, I obviously meant form a radius, okay? Break all sharp corners. So what we're going to do is just take, this is some 500 paper here. We're just going to break all the corners. We make sure we go right around the radius too. Okay, and then you would do that to all of your electrodes. As you can see, the paper does load up, so you do have to move over to a different section every once in a while. It's this pretty fine paper, 500 grit. So that's it. These 4 electrodes are ready to go. The corners have been broken all the way up the length of the draft and down along the bottom edges, right around the radius and back up. Okay, and for these electrodes that are going to burn that square feature, those are dead sharp corners and they're not going to need to be broken. Let me make sure we got all 4 ends up here. We're going to burn a square pocket there, so these do not need to have any radiuses broken on them. And the type of holder we're putting them in, we're not even going to break these edges because the holder is relieved where that'll fit. And you'll see that when we get into the EDM lesson. And once again, just to make sure I'm clear on this this type of holder, when this was ground, there's no guarantee. I made this a long time ago. I doubt if I went through that with a 100 grit wheel to get these corners dead sharp. That's why I said we need to break these edges to ensure that that electrode gets all the way down to the bottom. And another thing we'll do then, to make sure we're positioned accurately this way, is we'll swing that stop down. Now each time we put an electrode in, we'll put it in, we'll leave this mounted right into the machine, we'll put our electrode in, screw these 2 set screws in, and that'll tighten the electrode in. And finally, if you remember in the tool room the other day, the tap I was using was a little dull and I actually cracked this electrode, so I made up another one. This is a 1032, I made it a spiral tap, so I'll have a little more thread at the bottom, so it should work a little bit better now because it's a sharp tap. Okay, now I've got some threads in there, and I'll make sure I use that on all 4, because again, that gun tap we were using the other day was left a little bit to be desired, I think. So let's get this started straight. Remember, I said we don't want to screw it in too far, or our fitting will shut off that first flush line. So this will ensure I get a few more threads in there, because of the type of tap this is. The threads go all the way to the bottom for the most part, because there weren't too many threads in there. Beautiful. Alright, so these electrodes are all set to burn. I think we did take the time at the tool room the other day at Dieter's to tap these. Yeah. Okay, so there we go. So almost ready to burn. We're going to talk next video a little bit more about overburn and your finish. Then we'll move on to positioning, and finally onto the actual EDM machine, and let's burn these features in. So we'll see you on the next video.